welcome back. We're doing pioneers, we're doing builders. As always, we're doing Jacksonville, PB and Jacks for short. I got Bryan Croft with me. He's the CEO of HC Brands, a company that's based here in Jacksonville, Florida. Obviously, we're thrilled to have him. Bryan, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate watching what you guys are trying to build and just promoting more Jacksonville. Like, let's do this.
I know, man. I appreciate that. There's so much like buzz right now. There's a little bit more progress. I think we've always talked about Jacksonville being this city of potential. I've been here 18 years. We've been saying it for 17 and a half since I've been here. And you've been here a little longer. So you've been hearing it a lot longer. And I'm happy to kind of unpack what Jacksonville is doing with you and talk about the excitement, but really came here to learn more about HC Brands and get some more awareness about what you guys are doing.
Sure.
So talk to us about what HC Brands. You've been in business for quite a while.
Yeah. So I'll give you the 70-year history and I don't know, let's say 5 minutes because I don't need to bore you with all of it. I can condense it down for you so we can talk about lots of fun things and jump in, ask questions whenever you want, right? So
deal.
Here's the story. Started in the Arlington part of town, 1954. Mr. Holmes started making rubber stamps in his garage. That's where all cool businesses were started, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't even born. Fast forward 1975. My father went to Terry Parker High School with Mr. Holmes' daughter. And that was the connection. My dad started as a delivery driver when his, basically started in the company as a delivery driver through his relationship with Mr. Holmes' daughter. And then my dad, honestly, Mr. Holmes just really took care of my dad, which that's the first time I learned what does culture mean, right? This is 1975. I wasn't even born yet, but actually I was born in 1975. But
barely, you're barely born.
Yeah, barely born. I was a week old. But my dad was graduating from Terry Parker, going to UNF, and so Mr. Holmes really kind of crafted my dad's delivery guy schedule around my dad's classes. So go get your degree. I'm going to support you, get your college degree. But as soon as class is over, come over here and help me deliver these stamps, right? Fast forward 1999, my dad bought the company from Mr. Holmes. So pretty cool entrepreneurial story, founder started it, ran it for 50 years, and then sold it to the delivery driver, right? So that's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, same time, my mom and dad took that line of I went to Bishop Kenny High School, Christ the King grade school, and University of North Florida myself. And mom and dad, we didn't really talk about the family business. It was more just go get your degree and just figure out life later. Just go get your college degree. Okay, sure. So A, mom and dad were paying for my college degree. Sweet. Don't screw that up, Bryan. And B, like all the hot chicks over there were kind of doing marketing. Like, okay, I'm gonna go do marketing. Yeah, right. So that's how I got a marketing degree. So here I come. Really, like my dad bought the company on Friday. We went to Bono's Barbecue on Beach Boulevard. I thought I was just going to a free dinner that mom and dad were buying. And no, dad dropped this bomb on me. Hey, do you want to join the family business? Oh, what does that mean? Okay. I felt obligated. Mom and dad put a lot of sacrifice to getting me through college and raising me. And I didn't have any great plans. I was a bartender at Outback Steakhouse over in Regency or Finnegan's and Longhorn. And that's what I did during college just to kind of pay the bills. So here I come fresh out of college. I'm employee number 10 at this brick and mortar 1670 San Marco Boulevard, right next to European Street there in the heart of San Marco. With great foundation, $900,000 in revenue that Mr. Holmes and my dad had built. And I was like, this is cool. So I come in, all right, Dad, where's the marketing budget? Where's the catalog? Where's the customer list? And Dad looks at me and hands me an apron. I'm like, what's that, Dad? He's like, how are you going to be Mr. Sales and Marketing guy? You've never worked here. Get out there and start making stamps and signs and name tags. And I was like, oh boy, Dad spent all this money on my college degree. Like, what are you handing me this apron for? I paused there because the older we get, the smarter our dads become. My dad was really teaching me the business, right? And so probably, I don't know, 60 days into my career, I'm out at one of the local beach bars and I meet this beautiful tall blonde who is an attorney. And I'm like, wow, how do I date an attorney? She just graduated law school, got that first job at the big firm downtown. And let's pause. We celebrate our 25-year wedding anniversary this year. So I was able to BS my way through that, get the first date, and get married, and 3 beautiful kids, and we're blessed.
Maybe you always belonged in sales. Maybe they should have just started you there.
But what she really made me do was up my game, right? Because she really quickly realized I was the kid making $8 an hour in the rubber stamp business, family business, right? So I kind of said, okay, all right, if I want like date number 2 or I want a relationship, I got to up my game a little, So I was like, okay, what do? I either A, go to mom and ask for $10 an hour, and she'd probably do it because mom's pretty cool, right? Or B, this is 1999. What is this internet thing all about? What is this eBay that people are talking about, right? So I said, screw it. I'm going that direction. I'm going to grow more sales, more profits. Bryan can maybe make more than $8 an hour. That's really what the beginning was, right? So I'd work from 6 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon with my apron on, making all the stuff. And then I go to my little house down over off of University Boulevard, right near JU, and I get my little AOL CD and I dial up into the modem and try to build a website. A lot of your audience today doesn't even know what an AOL CD is, but old school, baby. I built the first website in 1999. Failed pretty miserably for 6 or 7 years. So 2 things were going on. A, I didn't know what I was doing. B, our society didn't know what they were doing. Like, you want me to put my credit card on this website thing and hope this order shows up? That had never happened, right? So finally in 2006-ish, success hits. And I define success very simply in this conversation as, oh my God, we got an order from Miami. We got an order from Atlanta. We got an order from Denver. Like, that's never happened in the history of this little Jacksonville, Florida company. This internet thing's pretty cool. Fast forward 2009, my dad and I doubled the company. We're doing $2 million in revenue. We're doing like a 20-something employees. And I'm like, Dad, let's hammer down. Let's grow something, right? Dad was more interested in being grandpa, golfer, fisherman, which is great. Dad had been doing it since 1975. 35 years later, I bought it from my dad in 2009. That's when I brought in my kind of business partner. Steve Fernandez is his name. And he's kind of the opposite of me. I'm the sales guy, the visionary. Let's run to the top of the mountain. He's my like integrator, more like, hey, let's go to the mountain, but should we bring water? Like, oh yeah, good idea. You know, because I would have started sprinting up the mountain and been thirsty up there, died. So fast forward, where are we today? Again, incredibly blessed. We're about 20 million in revenue. We have a little over 100 employees. Jacksonville is still headquarters. I live in Neptune Beach. Our office, we moved out of formal San Marco. We're over on like Phillips and Emerson areas, St. Augustine Road. So we have an office up in Philadelphia that helps us do some distribution just for all that population that lives in the Northeast. So less than 4% of our revenue is in Jacksonville. We still do a lot of stuff with Dixie and Blue Cross and Firehouse. The majority of our revenue is California, Texas, New York, just population maps, you know. So that's the nutshell of, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 minutes. But yeah, that's who I am. That's what we do.
Yeah, you did really good. For anybody who's hearing the name Bryan Croft or the name HC Brands for the first time, the revenue story is great. I mean, obviously, you went from 1 million to 2 million and then 2 to 20, but maybe people don't know what you do.
Yeah. Great question. Very strange what we do. HC Brands is kind of the parent company. That's what Dad started, Mr. Holmes, right? And that's our tax filing. That's all our legal entity. But we don't do hardly any branding or marketing under HC Brands. We have basically 9 niche brands. So simplystamps.com. We sell rubber stamps there. We're really good at selling rubber stamps. That's what Dad first taught me when I walked in the door. Nametagwizard.com. Sell name tags, customsigns.com, mykuzi.com, wall decal. We have these, we can link it in the show notes, but we have this portfolio of niche brands. And really the reason to do that is for marketing purposes. Because if I'm trying to sell a koozie to that bachelorette party that's going down to Miami or Nashville or whatever, I use these colors and languages and conversations versus I'm trying to sell a notary stamp to some dude in Oregon. Like, I use a whole different context of how we market to them. So Google loves it because we are niche professionals, really understand the stamp market, and we're pros there. But we really understand the koozie market. So from a Google SEO perspective, we get a lot of extra credibility there. So when people ask me what we do, we're not like your typical sign company that does every kind of sign. We used to do hundreds and hundreds of SKUs, but what we found was, let's do 50 SKUs, really, really good, and go deep there. That's our kind of high level marketing and logic on how we're building the company.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's good for everyone to know, man. You guys are like niched out in different spaces.
Yep. All under the context of e-commerce and personalized products. Everything we do is made in Jacksonville or Philadelphia, made in the USA. Everything we do is 100% customized, whether it's your logo or your name or your font or whatever, so.
When did you make the shift from like rubber stamps to maybe like slowly expanding to now like being 9 brands? Like what was the timeline for that?
Yeah, so basically it just kind of started with that simplystamps.com was the first one. And then we started trying to sell name tags on that website. And it didn't make a lot of sense because the customer's confused. I came here for a rubber stamp. Why are you? And Google was like, I'm not sending you name tag traffic. I'm sending you stamp traffic. So then I went to GoDaddy and spent $9 and bought nametagwizard.com and said, let's send all the name tag traffic over here. Oh shit, it's working, right? From a conversion rate perspective. Same thing, I had an opportunity to buy customsigns.com, which is such a great, unique URL. And then we just keep kind of adding them on. We have, out of the 9 brands, 4 of them we've acquired. So I've been in this industry for 25 years now. So some entrepreneur built their business to $2 million in revenue, and then life happened. They got divorced. They wanted this, they wanted whatever, but they had an asset. So we bought that asset. It allowed us to A, get some new revenue to create some more jobs in Jacksonville, and B, like get a new product line. Wallmonkeys.com is a wall decal. So think about like fatheads. You used to be able to get Trevor Lawrence in your room or whatever. Well, that's what we do, but we don't license with NFL. It's too expensive to do that. We support like the teacher that wants some cool stuff in her classroom, or the mom that wants to redo the baby's coming, they want to put the name of the baby on the wall. That's kind of the wall decals that we focus on. So yeah, that's just been part of it's either strategy or adding new products to our personalized product portfolio.
Is there any desire or outlook or like expanding the product line? Are you going to go to website number 10 anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, we're always trying to expand the product line. That's something that's fun. What's trending on TikTok right now that we can develop products into that, right? But, at the end of the day, I still want to go deeper, right? So my TikTok example is we've sold embossers to notaries for 50 years. Well, we identified a trend on TikTok in the last 3 months where there's this book talk. People are loving to talk about what book they're reading through TikTok. Mm-hmm. When we start running ads in there, make it an embosser that says from the library of, insert your name, right? So now you stamp or emboss your book, and when you hand it to your neighbor, you kind of want it back maybe, and so for your library. So that's what we think about an innovative world. I don't need to go invent the next product. I need to take our current products and really kind of rebrand them and just keep up with the market.
I think hearing that you're on TikTok when we were just talking about the AOL disc is
right.
Is a hell of a journey. What people, you're right about my audience, they probably have no idea what the disc is. But furthermore, you weren't allowed to talk on the phone if you were on the internet either. Like I don't think they understand that struggle.
Would pick up the phone and I get cut off. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm online.
Yeah. People have no idea what the struggle was, but it's an interesting conversation point because we're going to say you were born in 75, you look 30. So we're just going to say you were born in 75. I
turned 50 last week. That's the new 30.
So from 75 to 2000, like technology moved at a particular pace. And then from 2000 to 2025, we're going from dial up, you can't use the phone, to now we're having conversations around TikTok. Yeah. So the technological advancement in just those 2 different 25-year periods is wild.
Sure.
And so how are you guys buckling up for what the next 25 looks like?
Yeah, you put any channel on TV or talk to any entrepreneur, they're all talking about the buzzword of AI, right? And I remember having an argument with my dad in 1999. Hey, I need $3,000. I want to go build this website thing. And what he told me was, no, the phone book's been working great for 40 years. I'm like, okay, I get it. That's right. You're right. The phone book had been working great for 40 years. But this internet thing to me was appealing, right? I kind of feel like another inflection point right now. AI is changing our world. So if we just stick with the phone book, it ain't gonna work, right? So we are challenging every person that works for us just to kind of dig deep in AI. How are you going to use that in your department, whether it's marketing or finance or tech or develop or whatever? Let's dig into AI. We're putting task force together, and it's not going to change overnight, but we just want to we're using tools. Everybody uses ChatGPT and all these kind of fun things, but just kind of keeping an eye on that and seeing where we can make ourselves more efficient. I don't want to make ourselves more efficient so we can lay people off. I want to grow to 50 million and not maybe hire as many people so we can all make a lot of money on that journey, right? Make us more efficient, so.
Yeah, I mean, great point. Speaking of hiring, it brings a really good question to mind here. When you took over, or I think you said you were employee number 10, and then when you took over, how many employees were you running at the
10.
Time?
Yeah,
and
10.
where are you at now?
107.
107. So 10, 11x essentially. So I want to talk about leadership a little bit because you sat down at a Bono's and were basically asked to join the family business. It wasn't something that was on your horizon.
Yeah.
And then over the course of time, your dad decided, hey, like it's time for me to go enjoy life, and you took over. And we can talk about how the business grew, and I certainly want to. But when you start hiring these people, now they're under your tutelage. You're responsible for them. You're responsible for their growth and their development and their well-being. And so how did you lean into the leadership part? I mean, what part of you decided like, hey, listen, like I'm going to take this seriously? And how did you, find yourself growing as a leader over the course of the time that the company was growing?
Yeah, I guess that's something something I'm super passionate about. I'm just an idiot from Jacksonville that barely got through Bishop Kenny and UNF, right? But now I want to give other people opportunities the same way my dad gave me an $8 an hour opportunity, right? So I really like today, the way the company's set up, we have the president of the company, I have a head of marketing, I have a finance, tech, HR. They kind of run the day-to-day business. What I focus on is 70% of my time is on culture. And culture is a generic word. Every company, every CEO says it. But what I mean by it is building great teams, hiring the humble, hungry, smart individuals to help us. I paint the vision. We're trying to get to 50 million. Here we go, right? The industry is there. It's the e-commerce world. And then, I guess that's 70% of my day is making sure we have great engaged people and I can resource them appropriately. And then 30% of my day is what's the next marketing, right? What's the next acquisition we might do? What's the next product? And I'm the one that launched the TikTok shop as a 50-year-old dude. I kind of got it all running and got 6 sales a day and then handed it over to our team to go, hey, man, we got a base here. They did 100 orders yesterday. Right. So that's the concept of I love marketing, but it really comes down to culture and just leaning into people. One of my favorite stories is his name Jesse. Jesse Devon is running our Philadelphia office. And Jesse has been with us for 12 years and he's had lots of ups and downs. Jesse doesn't mind. I tell the story. I fired Jesse when he was 21 years old because he worked here for a couple of years. We were all idiots when we were 21 and going to the pool hall and drinking beer until 2 a.m. and then showing up to work hungover was normal for 21-year-olds. I fired Jesse when he did that at age 20 and 21 when he worked for us. And then he went and got another job for a year or two. And then he came back to me. He said, man, I really love the family, the culture. I screwed up. I wasn't mature. I learned. You give me a second shot. I said, Jesse, you got a short leash, but you get a second shot. Because I screwed up in life too. Plenty of people have given me second shots. Let's fast forward 9 years later. He's now running our facility in Philadelphia. So that's the shit that gets me really excited. Just investing in people and building a humble team that's smart and that's hungry. Like e-commerce, we can grow this to a $100 million company. Look at Fanatics. Look at all these other unicorns. We don't need to be a unicorn, right? But it's there. The market's there. Be hungry, get it. Feed people and train people and invest in people. We invest in leadership development. We have mentor programs all through our company. So that's kind of, I think I answered your question.
You did. No, you did great. You mentioned Fanatics, which, they famously got out of brick and mortar while they were here and really took a lean into the e-commerce platform and, obviously positioned warehouses across the country very strategically, but they took a lot of flack for that at the time. And now they're a multi-billion-dollar organization.
Right.
Whether it's Fanatics or another company, have you taken any kind of is there anybody that you look up to or that you try to duplicate their playbook or you try to replicate the model? Is there anybody you look out to and you like?
Yeah, I'll answer your question slightly differently. I believe what I do today is I'm a huge fan of peer groups, peer learning in general. So there's 3 that I'm a part of. One of them is very organic. I got 10 guys in my local Jacksonville CEO roundtable. We get together once a month. We talk about life. We all own businesses. We're trying to figure out what's going on with our wife, our kids, our business. None of them sell stamps on Amazon, but we all deal with how do you motivate your team? What's your sales? How are you dealing with tariff conversations? We all deal with that. My first kind of unofficial, board of directors or my mental health in this conversation is once a month getting together with that peer group. It's kind of like Vistage, other things you heard of. Ours is just pretty informal. The second thing is I'm in a global organization called YPO, Young Presidents Organization. Huge, big, very large. I want to hang out with the guys that own $50 million companies and the girls so I can figure out what does it feel like to do that, right? So I get together with that group once a month or so and learn what are really scalable large businesses doing? You get a lot of feedback and inspiration from there. And then the third one I'm a part of is called ECF, E-commerce Fuel. That deep dives on what's the latest and greatest that's going on in e-commerce. So nobody else in that community is selling stamps. People are selling all kinds of widgets in e-commerce. So those are the 3 communities, but I put them in one bucket of Yeah, I was kind of I regret that I didn't take high school or college education like serious because I was just a punk. And now I use this as my continuing learning. I do it every day, trying to figure out how do I learn to be a better CEO? How do I learn to be a better leader? All those kind of things. So,
Yeah, I think a lot of people can resonate with the "I was a punk when I was 20" conversation, because
yeah,
most of us were, especially
right.
the dudes.
Yes.
So let's say somebody's out here. I think this is a good opportunity to give back a little bit. So, through growth, it's never just a straight line shot, right? I'm sure that there were some pain points along the way when you went from 2 to 20 million,
Yep.
and there's going to be pain points when you go from 20 to 50. But can you expand on some of the sticking points along the way, and what you had to do to break through a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I think I mentioned these kind of three words in a personality: humble, hungry, and smart. So I think the most important one is humble. Like, I don't know what I don't know. I own the largest company I've ever worked at, right? And that's just a cool mindset to live in because I want to hire smart and fun people that are engaged and want to help us build something. That's kind of where I spend a lot of my energy. And then the other thing I would say, and happy to geek out on this topic for hours, but in 2016 at my little CEO roundtable, I heard about this thing called Traction, EOS. I'm like, what is that? It was the book of the month, whatever. So I read the book. I got all fired up. I brought it to my partner, Steve. Steve's like, no, we're not ready for this. We don't have the right team built yet. And I said, okay, whatever. Then I started, and then it came up. There it is, right there. Then it came up again in 2018. I'm like, Steve, we need it. I'm a visionary. I'm all over the freaking map. I need somebody to help with this and organize it better. We launched EOS officially in 2018, and we launched it in a big way. It was kind of scary. We did go out and pay the implementer like significant $30,000 a year or something like that to run this for us. And it was a big commitment to us. We're just paying some consultant 30 grand to do this EOS thing. I wanted to show my team that this isn't just the book of the month that Bryan found, because we're all guilty of that as entrepreneurs, right? Looking back, if you look at our sales and profits, that's when it started going like this. It just gave us an infrastructure to run our business. And I preach to the choir that EOS is a huge tool that we use hourly within our company.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're going to sit right here and talk about this for a second, because this is great. I've met a lot of people that have implemented EOS. It's clear that there's an inflection point, and then you're talking about the sales went up from there. One of the most important things in this book clearly is company buy-in. So you're at 107 people. How are you getting 107 people to buy into this?
Yeah, it's great because I don't think everybody, we think about it, we talk about it all the time, and everybody, our goal is, if you know enough about EOS, like, I want every person to have a scorecard number that they manage. I don't care if you're in the shipping department or you're the CFO of the company, right? I want everybody to have a rock, like, how are you going to make your department over the next 90 days better? Right. So those two things, and we talk about this a lot in our executive team. We're probably 70% of our organization just over these last 6 years have bought into it. And we're still working to get that final 30%. So everybody has a scorecard, a metric they're following, at least one, and everybody has rocks to improve their particular part of our business.
Yep. Yeah, the rocks are very interesting because for those who are not familiar with EOS, the rocks are personal attainment that work towards the company's larger goals, right? So if you have a sales goal as a company and you're a salesperson, your rock can be like, I want to achieve X, Y, and Z, but that X, Y, and Z should be contributing to the company's larger goal, which is to move the sales goal forward, right? So when it comes, are you helping these people up to like come up with their rocks? Because obviously you have shipping and you have sales and you have marketing and you have all these different departments that coming up with their different scorecards. Are you as a leader, or is your
Yeah.
leadership team helping these people get there?
So the way our team manages that, once a quarter, our executive team, there's me, and Steve, we're the owners, and then we have five more people that do that help us, the executive team. We go off site. We went to St. Augustine for 2 days and we just dig in what's going on. We kind of help set the tone, the vision, what's working, what's not working. And out of that meeting, we'll come up with a list of 50 rocks. And we'll think, okay, this rock is in marketing. This rock is in, now the head of marketing can say, okay, out of those 50, I got 11 of them. Now I need to work with my team to get their buy-in and inspire them on, here's the 11 rocks. I got 12 people on my teams. Everybody gets one rock, or whatever the math is, right? So that's kind of how we, from a high level, starts at the top, sets a vision, sets priorities, and then goes from there.
Yep. Okay. So it's fair to say that if anybody's trying to go from, good to great, lack of a better term, I know that's a book title, but you think EOS is a really good implementation that can help these companies launch into the next level.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say on the topic is I've met many entrepreneurs that tried EOS, but the ones I see that don't like it, that fail, they tried to self-implement, which sometimes is hard to do. Almost all the ones I talked to, like I did the same thing, Brian. I made that scary $30,000 investment in year 2020, whatever, and it's freaking working. So that was the thing. Like self-implementation, you can do it if you have the discipline. Lots of successful people do it. But I wanted to make it something that sticks, and I think that's my advice. Get an implementer that does this for other companies, and they can hold you accountable, and they can call you out on your BS, and they can. So
Oh yeah,
that's my advice for that. It's
yeah.
expensive, but it's the best ROI I've got in any investment I've ever made in anything in the company.
All right. I know that was the last thing you were going to say on the topic. So great segue question, because you were talking about meeting with a bunch of entrepreneurs. I'm very interested in this answer. In all the entrepreneurs you've met with, some have probably succeeded, some have probably failed. What are some of the traits you've seen in the entrepreneurs that have been successful?
I was at an event last night, and I was with Patty from Natural Life. And I don't know if you know her story, but
I do not.
my God, go look it up.
I
They
will.
are killing it. And the real thing is, two things I heard in the 20-minute little presentation she did last night. She's so passionate about her business. She has a great culture of people she loves, she cares about. She's got employees that are been there for 2 days and got employees that have been there for 22 years. So that was the first thing. The second thing was she's been grinding, dude. She's been grinding at it. Like she started this Natural Life, and the concept is going to be a photography studio. And that didn't work. So she pivoted into really cool women's fashion, right? Like now, like that's cool. I say it. So that's it, right? Stay dedicated. When I tell the story, I want to point something out. I worked for 7 years before the first freaking order came in building a website. So when I see entrepreneurs today, they say, man, I tried it. It's been 60 days. It's not working. I'm going on to the next thing. I just laugh. I'm like, dude, 60 days isn't anything. If you really believe in your dream, in your vision, and your business plan, 60 days is like an hour. You got to stay committed to it. It's too easy in the social media, instant gratification world we live in to give up. And I've seen so many people that, you don't see the thousands and thousands of mistakes we've made, or just grind, or the tears, or the blood, or it's you see the nice car and the nice house, but you don't know what it really takes to get there. So you gotta grind on it.
Yeah, you see the nice house, but you don't see the couches we slept on along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you say? This is a really good question, because I don't have the answer. Maybe you do. Let's say an entrepreneur has this dream, but they only have a finite amount of resources before they have to go get a job or something like that. Maybe 60 days or 90 days or 180 days is all they have. And maybe it does take 6 years to get what they need to do off the ground. What would you say to those people who have a great idea and they feel very passionate about it, but they just don't have the rope to put their heart and soul into it for an extended period of time?
Yeah, I would say it's what words do I use? Kind of not multitasking, but listen, you didn't ask me. When I started making $8 an hour, you know what I was doing at night? I was bartending in an Outback Steakhouse, because I had a different lifestyle that wasn't $8 an hour, right? So my side hustle honestly was like I was making more money in Outback Steakhouse as a bartender than I was in the little rubber stamp opportunity that mom and dad were giving me. So I kind of did both for a while just to keep the lights on. That was from like, how do you get out of like corporate America, or like get a little side hustle job that you're not the boss, you're an employee, you're helping, but do this at night, grind on this, whatever, until you can build momentum and sales to start like, oh my gosh, I'm now making $10 over here and I'm only making $4 over here. Now I need to kind of switch. I would also say the other thing is like, man, the world we live in today, we didn't have any money when we started this. So what did I do? I figured out what's free. What's free is my dad at the time had been in the industry for 30 years. He had a wealth of knowledge. I'd ask him like, I need to write a blog. I need to create some content. I need to go SEO. That's free. That's just time. Right? So I just started putting all kinds of content that we're the best rubber stamp guy in the world, right? And Google started seeing that, and our traffic started going up, and it started converting. We didn't use the first paid ad for years. It was all organic SEO, So there's a lot of ways to, especially in today's age, like Find out what you want. How can you get the right attention on TikTok and make the good videos? That doesn't cost a lot of money. You don't have a damn iPhone and a fun like afternoon walking around the street, So you don't have to, I don't have I don't have $30,000 to hire an EOS guy. Well, you don't have to do that. Or you can just try to learn it, get comfortable for a year or two. Read traction, read what the heck is EOS, Just there's too many excuses on why I can't do it. I can call it 100 of them, but like that's where you got to change your mindset. Like, how are you gonna do it?
Call your own excuses out. Like,
yeah,
sometimes people just lean on the fact like, oh, I can't do it, but they really haven't thought of, like, they're not solutions oriented. They haven't really thought of the different ways to make it happen. All right, I mean, that's fair.
The only other thing I would add to that, and it's the same time, I think it's super important. Going back to the word humble, you got to realize what you suck at. And then you got to go find a partner or a co-founder to go, hey, that's what happened with me and Steve, right? Steve is very CPA, engineer, accounting, Excel, NetSuite, all these fancy things I care less about, right? And so once you find that co-founder is what I would say, I think that gives you more confidence and accountability and credibility, and then just try to grow it from there.
That's fair.
We all see the Elon Musk and the Jeff Bezos, but I bet if you sit them down, they're going to list hundreds of people that help them accomplish what they're doing today.
Yeah, I think Jeff Bezos has actually been pretty public about his counterparts and whatnot.
Yeah, I listened to an interview just last week on him. The really quick takeaway I had was everybody likes to say, gosh, look how much money you made. Look how successful you are. And he said, stop for a minute. I want you to go out and run some knowledge on how many millionaires did Amazon create? Lots, right? So that's just a different mindset. Like, it's not just Jeff, right? So I think it's about building. My dream is to build a $50 million company with 500 employees right here in Jacksonville. And how am I going to do that? I don't know. Step day by day,
Yeah, and partner with the right people to help you make the vision a reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we've really drilled down on the entrepreneurship stuff, and before we move on to some other fun topics, I just want to make sure, did we leave anything on the table with HC Brands? Is there anything that we missed that maybe somebody should know about what you guys are doing? Or
no, honestly, the way I kind of handle these kind of things is I'm not necessarily really looking for customers in this audience that want to come and buy a stamp or a sign. Sure, look at our websites. We have cool product. That's great. What I'm looking for, especially in this particular audience, I want the greatest work. Not hard workers, just like people that just want to grind with me to build a business. So I do this for more recruiting, tell the story, and like, dude, I want to work in e-commerce in a career. I want to work in the 70-year-old company. Apply, come join, dude. We're always hiring great people, and that's what I have to try to do to be. I can't do it all, so I got to hire great people to help us accomplish the goals.
Okay. That's very fair. Well, we'll transition off of that. There was two topics that when we met last week, we discussed, and I want to talk about that. I certainly want to talk about the city of Jacksonville and where it's headed. A couple of topics that came up for us was one of them was with the Atlantic Beach Country Club.
Yeah.
Can you kind of shine some light on your involvement there and what's going on?
Sure.
With AB?
Yep. I'll be playing golf out there in about an hour and a half. Yeah, so my Atlantic Beach Country Club story goes back to 1957, I think. My grandparents lived in Arlington. They wanted to be members of a country club and move to the beach at some point. They were one of the founding members of Selva Marina Country Club in 1950, whatever. My grandpa was the president of the club in 1980 through 80, whatever. And I got married at Selva Marina in the year 2000. I grew up there playing golf with grandpa, swimming in the pool. And then 2008 happens. And I joined as a member after I got married. It was like, $50 initiation fee to join the club. And I'm like, all right, that sounds fun. And so then 2008 happens and recession, and there was just some issues. The club Selva was failing. I joined on a committee to help get new members, and then ultimately served on the board just to kind of help. My goal was to keep the club going so my kids would have a great pool to ride their bikes to, or a great tennis or pickleball now, right? So I got involved in basically 2012-ish. We did like a strategic bankruptcy on the current former ownership of Selva Marina. We then took and sold, I can't remember the exact land, a bunch of acres. We had 200 acres. We sold 50 acres. We took that capital and rebuilt what today is Atlantic Beach Country Club. So I served on the board as Atlantic Beach Country Club. I was the president from 2017 and 18. So it's just kind of a passion project for me. Looking back, dang, I wish I would have been a developer because they bought all that dirt and made hundreds of millions of dollars on it. But whatever, I didn't do that. I did it for my community and just trying to have a great place to work, great place to live. And now it's so much fun going out there just to see all the families and the legacy. And like, it's fun. You get the new waiters and like, what's your member number? And I'm like, 9. Your member number is 9? And I'm like, yeah, because everybody else's member number is like 14103, and they're like, how'd you get member number 9? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I guess I'm just one of the OGs,
Yeah, and it's booming now, right? I mean, like, there's like a wait list for days.
It's crazy. That's just part of the success, for better or worse, of Jacksonville. Lots of people moving here. We have a great product in a great part of the city, and yeah, there's a waiting list of, I don't know, 60 people that want to come join. And now we're having the other problem. At Selva, we had nobody coming there, so we couldn't pay our bills. Now we have too many people, so we have to kind of cap. Like, as much as we want to have 2,000 members, then the member experience becomes kind of bad. You can't get a tea time, you can't get a drink at the bar. So we're trying to kind of manage that part of it.
Legitimately build it and they will come scenario.
Yeah, no, but that's another point. One of the reasons I got so involved in Selva Marina and Atlantic Beach Country Club was because now I'm able to sit as a 30-year-old kid at a board of directors with a bunch of very smart bankers and developers and realtors and lawyers and whatever. And so I'm sitting at the board meeting just like listening to what they're trying to accomplish. And boy, a lot of those listenings and my notes, I was bringing back to HC Brands to become a better leader there. So I was being a great servant for our community, which felt great. But listen, I was getting a lot out of that at the same time to help build my HC Brands. And I created my own mentor network within the board of directors at Selva Marina. We'd go have coffee or have a beer at ragtime or whatever, just like trying to help each other. So it was pretty cool.
Man, R.I.P. Ragtime, man. That was
yeah, right.
Oh, that's sad. I love that place.
Yeah, that's a fun place.
Yeah. All right. The other one, San Marco East.
Yeah.
Talk to us.
San Marco East. So the company was like I said, next to European Street, 1670 San Marco Boulevard for 40-something years. As our growth kept going, we had to kind of like, oh my God, we were renting all kind of buildings over there, and just didn't work. So we got a newer building, 2021 St. Augustine Road, which is kind of right on the other side of the tracks. Lots of major cities have the tracks, the railroad tracks.
Oh, yeah.
On the good side of the tracks or the bad side of the tracks. Where we are is historically Emerson and Phillips. That's the bad side of the tracks. So, I basically, as an entrepreneur and as a community leader, I like to go like, how can I help with this? How do I change this little part? My business is now located here. What do I do? So I kind of got together a bunch of the business owners in the neighborhood, and we started San Marco East. We almost kind of partnered with the San Marco Preservation or Business Society, but we wanted to make our own little impact. So we have like a brother-sister relationship with all the merchants that are in this square and everything. And we're kind of becoming like the new guys. As San Marco grows, we believe it's not growing north because that's downtown. It's not growing because the river over there, the natural place for it to grow is where we are, right? So you're seeing a lot more apartment complexes. The Icemen moved their headquarters there. The Igloo and all that great stuff down there that's related to the Icemen. RF Smart is down there as a huge, big tech company in our city. So basically, we get all these business owners together and just like, what can we do to make our neighborhood better, right? So that's kind of what we're focused on.
Yeah, I mean, you're making a little slice of Jacksonville better, which, once again, let's go back to the original premise of this conversation, right? Jacksonville's always been a city of potential, and now we're actually making legitimate strides to, formalize ourselves as a main player. And I guess that probably segues me into this. You obviously have your hands in 2 projects, the Atlantic Beach Country Club and San Marco East. You've had some calling to make sure that, your home of Jacksonville, Florida is left better than you found it. How do you feel about the direction of the city right now? There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I mean, so I've been here for 50 years, probably started paying attention about 35 years ago. Like, they've been telling me downtown Jax is going to be great. But I don't know, maybe I'm just too optimistic, but I don't think so. I'm seeing more than we've ever seen. with all the investments in Shad Khan and all that world. Some of the new clubs that are opening up downtown. Like I'm 50 years old, but I'm going to that Decca or whatever I keep seeing on Insta. It looks like a really fun place. Like I love it, you know. Went to a great restaurant that was I didn't even know what it was on Phillips and Bay Meadows. I can't remember, Catula or what, something like that last week.
Catulos, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I felt like we were sitting in South Beach. I'm like, this is right here in Jacksonville in a strip center. Like, this is great, right? So I am super excited. Even the little things that happened just recently, the Jaguars blow up all their staffing. We got some 34-year-olds and a bunch of young blood coming into our football team, which I think is just a kind of a paradox of what's going on in our city, you know? So
It is
super exciting to me.
I could not be more with you. I think the autonomous driving that's taking place downtown, where they'll like pick you up on one side of Bay Street and drive you down to the stadium side, and most people don't really know about the stadium deal either. Like they know it exists, but they don't know what it encompasses. Like there was a $55 million that was dedicated to downtown park beautifications.
Right.
So they're going to go in there and rip up all the parks and put fresh plants, trees,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
things for people to do, stuff like that. Like that's super exciting. Shad Khan, he just bought the fairgrounds. He's going to turn that into additional parking for whether you want to go to the baseball game, football game.
Yep.
You know, Vice-Star Memorial for any kind of events.
Yeah.
I'm with you. It's hard not to get excited.
Yeah. It's funny, my little pitch on Jacksonville, when I travel Chicago or I'm going to Germany next week for work, you run into somebody in Germany and you're like, oh, I'm from Florida. They're like, oh, Miami. And I'm like, not exactly. But this is how I explain it to the German audience or whoever's listening to me. Miami is very international, tons of money, fast, cement everywhere, great restaurants, great club, awesome, right? Then you come up a little north and you go to Disney World, Orlando, lots of tourism, great cool things there. And you go a little further north and you hit sleepy old Jacksonville. And what's sleepy Jacksonville good for? It's great to raise your family. It's great to look at all these great parks that we have, whether it's the intercoastal or the beach or the river, get in a kayak, go fishing. Like it's a different kind of life and it resonates with me, man. I love it, you know? So that's how I kind of pitch Jacksonville. So
yeah, I think we're going to enter into this like hybrid scenario where
I see it coming.
Where it's like pockets of Jacksonville will still be slow.
Yeah.
Where you can raise your family and go fishing and go golfing and stuff like that. And I think parts of it are going to be more walkable.
Yep.
More upbeat, more lively. Listen, man, I'm bullish.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited.
As a city, one of the lifeblood things that kind of cities grow and flourish and whatnot is the rise of small businesses. Obviously, you own a business here in Jacksonville, Florida. So I'll ask you two questions before I'll allow you to depart here.
Yeah.
As a city now, and kind of what we're forecasting, what do you think Jacksonville's doing well for the business owner? You know, if you were starting a company here, like what would be the perks?
Yeah. I think there's still not, it's changing rapidly, but it's not as expensive as other cities, right? So you can basically, yes, maybe our salaries are a little lower, but our rent's also a little bit lower. Our mortgages are a little bit lower. So that kind of helps. I think between, having a great university, I'm obviously biased to University of North Florida because that's where I went, but all the entrepreneurial or Blackstone Launchpad or all things that they're getting involved with to help students and or entrepreneurs kind of create their next vision. I think that's pretty fun. And then there's lots of pockets of, I went to a Jax Tech meetup last night at the Mosh downtown, and there's 200 or so entrepreneurs that are geeking out about tech, right? And I'm like, I want to be there and I just want to listen. I want to participate. I want to help, So I think there's things going on. Like I think probably in the next year or two, we're probably gonna have to move again because we're just out of space. We're growing. So maybe we move into downtown. Maybe we're part of that. Bring 100 and something employees into downtown, right? And I think there's city initiatives from help me with a little bit of taxes or help me fund it. It's expensive, So there's a lot of cool things like the downtown vision and people are doing like that just to help. We all win, help small businesses. We all win. So
yeah, I agree. What can we do better?
Yeah. I mean, I would go back and say, really, it's about execution. It's about we've got to continue to move forward because Tampa's trying to do this. And so is Pooler, Georgia. Everybody's trying to do it. So to us, it's about we've got to execute. We have to stay focused and execute on bringing the talent, having humble and hungry people that want to grow something, whether it's business or cleaning up the park, just humble and hungry. I think we got to have that. So that's where I I'm not skeptical. I want to make sure that we are driving to continue to grow the business and grow the city.
Yeah. Yeah. Just even though there's a lot of excitement, don't lose focus, right?
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed. So, yeah.
All right. What would you like to leave the people with, man? What's on your mind? How can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, just Bryan Croft, BryanCroft. That's probably the best way to connect. I don't know. I guess it's probably also the, how do I say it? The entrepreneurial spirit, the dream. Like, you got to believe in yourself. You got to know that it's a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, if you would have asked one of my Bishop Kennedy's teachers in 1994, like, what are you going to be doing? They would have never said Bryan's going to build a $20 million business, right? And actually, I use some of that as inspiration. Tell me what I can't do, and that's what I'm going to go do. So I just keep grinding, man. Keep grinding, keep believing, and keep building. So
Okay. I lied. I do have one more question because I
go
know
ahead.
he's going to listen. Say one nice thing about Travis Webb.
Travis Webb? God, I've known him for a long time.
One nice thing.
One nice thing, he is a really good family man. I know his wife and the whole family. It's a big family, which can be intimidating at times, but just running into them at a festival or watching them on Facebook, like, I just respect the hell out of. He married into a very large family, and he's just like been drinking the Kool-Aid for 20 plus years. That can be hard to do at times. And I think he's a great civic leader from business, and he's just a great dude. Don't show him this.
I won't. I'll edit this part out before I send it to him. But I do want to say that I appreciate him for putting you and I in touch, and this has been fantastic, man. I appreciate your time today, and obviously for everything you do for the city. Certainly appreciate you, man.
Well, man, thank you, Randall. What you guys are doing, just keep spreading the word. I think we're all inspired. We need inspiration, and to have local inspiration like this, what you're doing, like, keep at it, bro. It's great. I love it. Well, let me know how I can support you. All right.
You got it, man. Thank you.
All right, Randall. Thank you,
All
man.
right, man.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take care.